Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? Geoff Mosher, Adam Caplan for a bye-week edition of Inside the Birds, where we're going to do a little bit of a scouting of the Birds after their wonderful start, 6-0, get into their offense, get into their defense to round out the week. Now, if you heard my intro there, Adam, I really had to give it my all because my daughter, Raina, did it on the last podcast, and I do want to thank everybody. And there were lots of comments and some emails about how nice it was to hear my daughter do the intro. So I appreciate everybody who reached out. Very nice.
Honestly, I think we need her, not only her to do it. If she can't do it, can we tape it? And then she'll do it. Seriously, she was so good at it.
Well, she asked if she could do it again, and I said yes,
okay.
but not because I want there to be like a little space between. I want we can't greatness like that. You just can't give it over and over and over. You got to reward the people with it. So we'll get another one before the end of the season. I promise you.
Yeah, she's got some good pipes. 8 years old, right?
8 years old, and I'm telling you, she practiced that and she listens to the pod. So that's a shout out to Raina Mosher right there. All right, so we got a lot to talk about. Offense, defense. What's interesting about this pod is that you spoke with former Eagles offensive quarterbacks coach John DeFilippo. He's a former NFL offensive coordinator. So you got some kind of intel just on how coaches go, what they focus on in the bye week, which I think is important. This team is not this team is in a unique situation entering the bye week. They're undefeated. So I think that sort of changes a little bit, I would think, for the coaches on what, let's say you are 4-2 or 3-3. I mean,
I don't agree with that at all.
You don't think so?
No.
When I say change, I mean, like, I think they have to be conscious of the fact that they're undefeated and not be complacent. That's sort of.
No, that part's the right one. No, but what John said was that we didn't even talk about record. He goes, you look at all the record really has nothing to do. You could be 0-6. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're desperate, obviously, if you're 0-6, you're okay. What the hell's wrong with us? But what it is he and I talked about the 17 team because they were so good. But what he did talk about was, we'll get into this in a couple of minutes, but I'll give you one snippet.
Sure.
Is that you got to see where your tendencies are, because the problem is predictability. As good as the Eagles are, and they don't have a lot of issues. They're really well coached.
They are.
You're worried about tendencies. And he brought up Zach Ertz. He goes, they were so Ertz-centric. He goes, because Zach just got open all the great route running.
Right.
I'll give you a nugget in a couple of minutes where they found something in their self-scout where they thought teams were getting a beat on them.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, as a coordinator, John was a coordinator, let me see, with Jacksonville for 1 year. Gardner Minshew had he said 7 Rookie of the Week awards.
Mm-hmm.
The Browns in 15. He did such a good job there that you got a head coaching interview with the Niners and the Vikings under Mike Zimmer. But the fact of the matter is, and as you said, he was a quarterbacks coach. He's been a quarterbacks coach for many years with many different teams. Mm-hmm. He's also been an OC at San Jose State and a quarterbacks coach. People start to figure out kind of what you're doing over a series of weeks. Now, they've only played 6 games. That, in a way, that helps them because they only have 6 games of tape, and you've got the craziness of the Jacksonville rain game.
Right. And
what's one other game was? Well, the first game, only because it's the first game of the year, people don't quite know what you were going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Over the Lions, I think we know they have to throw the ball because they stink. But but the Eagles, though, they know who they are. They play a certain way, but you don't want to make look. Are they an RPO offensive course? That's the way they're going to. And we got some good stuff on that, including something that a coach we spoke with mentioned about that. We'll get into that in a minute. But the fact of the matter is, no matter how many wins you have, it's all about what you're doing and how you can do it better. What can you find in your self-scout?
All right. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I worded what I meant to say differently. I didn't mean to say you change what you would normally do. I just meant you're in a unique situation and you can't just be like, we're undefeated, we're great, we don't need to change anything. So you worded it perfectly. You have to be critical in areas that you would ordinarily be critical, as if you were 3-3 or 0-6.
Yeah,
that's sort of what I meant by, because whoever expects to be undefeated after 6 weeks, you'd love to be, but it's definitely a unique situation. So that's good. Thank you for clarifying that.
No problem.
For me on that. And so a couple things real quick for our Patreon subscribers. Our Chalk Talk series continued. It's up. Our interview with a Bucks County native and former NFL defensive coordinator Paul Gunther. And what was fascinating with it's a great interview. We already got a lot of great feedback about the interview, just as much as the one we got with that we did last month with Flip. Is that something I didn't know, and I'm not sure you knew either, because you looked surprised when he said it, but that Paul Gunther worked under Mike Zimmer, thank you, for a long time, for a long time. And during that time, when Zimmer was in Cincinnati with Paul, Zimmer became known as the godfather of the double A gap blitz.
This is incredible. Go ahead. Yeah.
And what we learned with talking to Paul was that the elements of that were imported from Philadelphia. So I had never known that. I had no idea. I think it's a fascinating story of how it came to be.
Unbelievable.
And Paul did a great job. You could tell Paul's a great storyteller, and he has a memory like most coaches, which is, almost, like X-ray. They remember everything, photographic memory. Paul was on the Bengals coaching staff in 2008 for the infamous 13-13 tie.
You had to bring it up to him.
Well, that was a good game for them. Remember, they were like 1-7. So
the crazy is that what the record was? I have no idea. But the craziness of that is Paul's dad becomes the story in this show. It's
a true Philadelphia story.
It's unbelievable. This was because I've known Paul. I first met him watching tape at NFL Films with Jaws and Cosell. Greg and Jaws would bring in coaches after the season was over. And I'd met Paul before, but didn't know him well. And what would happen is, because you're watching tape for 7 or 8 hours, just talking to coaches, Matt Millen would be in there, Mayock, Baldy. You could go through the list of coaches or former players, and it would just be a who's who. Joe Flacco showed up one year, by the way.
Yep.
They brought Joe in. So it was just wonderful. And I was just learning defense from him, how he thought. But there's so much about Paul I did not know.
Yeah.
And it just came out based on our questions. And it was certainly an interview, was very conversational. So
right.
It was wonderful. And you will become a smarter fan from listening to this. I'm telling you, it was mind blowing. Some of the stuff we got into. It was really fun.
We definitely got into the Eagles. He's from the area, so he still pays attention a lot to the Eagles. We talked about the RPOs. We talked about the 5-man front. Talked about the future of defense and offense in the NFL. So a lot of great stories. It was about an hour long. So again, if you're not a Patreon subscriber and you want to hear this stuff, this bonus content that we're doing, go to patreon.com/InsideTheBirds. We do 2 special podcasts a month. One is a live stream on Ask ITB live stream that we just did this past week. We had a lot of great participation. And then the other is usually an interview, what we call our Chalk Talk series. So we've had an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator. We're aiming for a head coach next month, a former NFL head coach. We'd like to do that. Adam's talked about getting a former NFL team doctor to really talk about injuries and how they're diagnosed.
We're going to get both.
We're going to get both.
We're getting both.
Awesome.
We've talked to we've already talked to one of the former head coaches.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 that we have an eye on, so we'll see what we think fits. Actually, the first guy I think fits incredibly well, because he happened to be at some of the Eagles practices this summer.
Great.
And I've talked about that, and that's all I'm going to say. But that's I think we're probably going to do that.
All right, awesome. Also Q&A, they're doing their thing. Make sure you're checking out their shows, and they've been so enlightening with a lot of great stories. They're doing a great job mixing in all their phenomenal stories. So really appreciate what Quentin, Michael, and Jason Avant have been doing on the platform, as their fans are loyal and great. So really looking forward to even more of that the rest of the year. Let us get into the podcast. We're going to do the Eagles bi-week self-scout. Obviously, we're not scouting ourselves, we're scouting the Eagles, but we're giving you notes that we've gotten just on the team from different sources and observations and things. Before we get into that, got to tell you about our friends at Mojo. We've been talking about them. It's the NFL sports stock market, where you just invest in your favorite players. I think that's the coolest thing about this. I mentioned the last podcast. Sometimes I want to try the stock market, but I don't know enough about these companies. I know about quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, and tight ends, and I'd feel way more comfortable investing in, the next guy to come up or selling on the next guy to start fading in sports than I would in any big Fortune 500 company. So that's what you do. You invest in what you know. There are share prices for players. They go up and down. You can build your own portfolio. Adam, it's almost like having a fantasy sports stock market team where you're buying and you're selling different guys. It's a fantastic thing. And I forgot to mention this. This is a great part about it. All right, Mojo wants you to win. They're having fun with this, okay? They've added this thing called a multiplier. So if you, let's say you want to invest in a player, let's say it's Miles Sanders, okay? Yeah, he hasn't had a 100-yard game in a while, so I think his share number was down just a little bit. Let's say you think he's going to have a string of 100-yard games, and you buy $2 of stock in Miles Sanders, and you hit the 10-time multiplier. That means if he has a great game and his stock goes up $2, because you hit the 10-time multiplier, his stock just went up $20 because you multiplied it. You went with the multiplier tab. Now, it can work in reverse. If he has a terrible game and his stock goes down, you could lose $20. That's what makes it fun. But that's where if you're smart and like I talk about Ramondre Stevenson, I knew 2 weeks ago, once Harris got hurt, he was going to take off, right? If I had bought on the extra shares on him and multiplied it, I'd be sitting pretty right now.
Interesting. Okay.
Anybody in your mind in the NFL right now that you're thinking is a good guy to buy some stock in?
Right now, I would say, I'm trying to think of guys who are coming back right now.
Ooh, how about DeAndre Hopkins? I mean, he's back last night.
He just came back Thursday night. Right. Getting him early because his role will only grow. This is the first game back. Robbie Anderson will be a shot play guy. I just don't know how much he'll get the football.
But you know what? In that Arizona air raid offense, I think with that quarterback and his arm, I think he's got a better chance to do better the rest of the year than he was doing in Carolina.
Oh, I think you could do better than anyone in Carolina. I mean, dude, it's so bad there with the quarterback situation.
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple. Though I don't know that it doesn't look great for him to play this week, but the great thing is his stock is down. Here are the guys that are come back from injury very soon. Jahan Dotson.
Oh, good one.
Washington. Get on him now. Buy low, right?
Yeah.
So he should be back soon.
The
guy, Nico Collins, who I love with the Texans, is off the bye. They play the Raiders this week.
Good stuff.
Should be a good buy low candidate, right?
Yeah.
Wide receiver, second year. He's been doing well. He just needs to score.
Yeah, high volume receiver too. He can catch the ball.
He can run. Yeah.
Yep.
Trying to think who anyone else in the bond I'm looking for.
That's fine. You got two there. That's good.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, that's two. Yeah. So
right. Yeah, and then if I think you can throw Robbie Anderson in there, I think that would be a smart one as well. All right, Mojo is available in New Jersey on iOS, and just by downloading the app, you got a chance to win up to $10,000 in free shares of player stock. So make sure you check out the link in this description boxes, both on YouTube or on the podcast, for a chance to win up to $10,000 in free shares of player stock. Got to be 21 or older and physically located in New Jersey to trade on Mojo. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let us talk about the Eagles offense, what we like, what we didn't like. We obviously talked a lot about the way RPOs have. The Eagles are they may be the only team. I don't know if the Ravens do as much, although I imagine that they would, but where the RPO is the foundation of the offense as opposed to being sprinkled in here and there like they did with Nick Foles in 2017.
Right. So for that, let me get to the self-scout notes, and this will lead into from Flip. So John said the biggest thing you have to understand, and I've not heard a coach say this, but I guess he would know because he's a coach. He goes, the biggest mistake you can make as a coordinator with the offensive defense is coming out of the bye, you think you have to change things up. Like, okay, we're, like you said earlier, okay, we're 4-2 or 2-4, whatever the record is. Or you just want to change things up. So you go, oh my gosh, we have to change this or that. He said that he wouldn't name the coach, and I didn't ask him to. He goes, one of the coaches that he has a lot of respect for, we worked for early in his career, was known for trying to do too much out of a bye. And what happens is you start having mental errors with the players start screwing up.
Right.
Because this is not training camp. You can't do that. They don't have enough time now. Yes, he said, okay, this is a great line. I told him I was going to say this. He said the worst thing sometimes for coaches is too much time to think. Because he said what happens is, and it's kind of like what Andy Reid does, they throw the players out. Most teams, if you keep them, they're pretty much gone after Wednesday.
Right.
Or some teams they're just not there at all. But anyway, so what he said is you've got to be careful. Because what happens is you sit down, you've already, each week you get the analytic numbers. It's not like you don't know this stuff. But he said what you have is now, because you're not game planning, is you have all the analytical data. You now have a time to dig in and to look at, okay, here's what we're good at, here's what we're bad at, or we're not good enough at right now. let's look at our tendencies. He said, he goes, I'm real big on tendencies. So he brought up in 17, he goes, look, we knew, everyone knew this. Zach Ertz was tremendous. They knew we were going to him on third down because he's such a great route runner.
Mm-hmm.
He just knew it. The ball was going there. So what he tried, he didn't know the week. He goes, whatever, he doesn't, it's 5 years. So he didn't know exactly what their tendencies were for certain, but he knew in the red zone that they were going to Ertz and Alshon.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe coming out of the bye, they try to get the ball to Selleckmore. Or whatever the case may be, they wanted to change it up a little bit. It's not like they're changing the way they run offense. They didn't change anything in their scheme.
Right.
Or they might, let's see their tendency on a certain play, almost 80% of the time it went to the left side. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to call the same play
mm-hmm.
and go to the right side. Oh, by the way, this is what Aqib Talib was killing them on. Criticizing, oh, this is a high school offense. It's so simple. Of course, Aqib got simple. They went after. I got what he was talking about because they were very predictable in the way that they ran their plays, but they would change it from week to week. So John said, if there was ever a tendency where it was too high, they would change it. So that you were looking to change your tendencies so that team cannot pick up what you're doing week to week, because that's how they start figuring you out after a series of weeks. Now, this is only 6 weeks, but we know, but the good thing is because they have so many good Goddard, AJ Brown, obviously Devontae Smith. There seems to be sometimes a different guy each week. And that's what you want to do. And that's a good thing that you don't really have it beat, although Goddard's pretty involved. He certainly could be more involved. We'll get to that. But it wasn't like with Ertz, it was so Ertz centric in 2017.
Right. That's really interesting. That is fascinating stuff, because you look at this Eagles team as we get into their offense, and they're so multidimensional, and so is the 2017 team. They can hurt you with AJ Brown, with Devontae Smith, with Goddard, with their running game, any one of their 3 running backs. And I don't think that they have a guy. Does it seem like they have a guy when they need it on third down to go to? Their guy is like Jalen Hurts for almost everything. I mean,
well,
I bet you he's got as many first downs with his legs as AJ Brown does with his catches. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I would say this, and we saw this in week 1 with AJ Brown.
Mm-hmm.
In any given week, AJ Brown could be dominating on third down. It's just how they want it. It obviously depends on the opponent and what they're showing you.
Right.
But AJ Brown, and he's had a couple games where he was very active in the first half, not as active in the second half. That's also another thing they got to improve upon.
Mm-hmm.
Quite honestly, and I understand, look, the Jacksonville game, there's nothing they could do about it in terms of how many times they're going to throw, because you just couldn't throw very much.
Right.
To me, AJ Brown's got to be a major factor every week. No one could handle it. It's just, you got to think if you're a play. What's that?
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, as a play caller, you just have to know, I'm getting this guy the ball every week in a major way because he's uncoverable. And with Goddard, he's the same way.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't fight the football like he did with that bad drop the other week, he's a stud. He's got to be a factor. So,
right.
In the end here, you just lack of predictability is got to come into play here. But you got to give it to the staff. Steichen's just done a good job of changing, spreading around. But there should be, again, if you're going to throw the ball over 30 times a game, which, by the way, up until last week, they were throwing the ball anywhere from 22 to 27 times a game in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
AJ Brown's got to get the ball a ton. And that's just the way it is now. And we'll get into some other things with Wes Watkins or stuff. But what Flip said was, you have to identify your playmakers, which based on the tape study, and then have an understanding of what each guy does. Because sometimes, as a play caller, because you're going to certain guys so much, you sometimes lose track. So moving forward here, they have one deep threat, major deep threat. That's Wes Watkins. This plays into what John was saying.
Right.
He didn't talk about Watkins, but I knew what he was just talking about, guys who bring certain things to the table. They got to figure out a way to get Wes Watkins the football shot plays. They have to get more shot plays.
Mm-hmm.
It loosens up the defense. And by the way, he gets open deep, man. He runs by everybody. His hands aren't bad. We know that.
Right.
So he's got to get the football more.
He does. The the Q&A were big on that. They just felt like the one thing missing from this offense is a more consistent chunk play, shot play, impact, and more not just a lot of their plays have been designed that way. I think, they're looking for a little bit more second reaction. First guy gets taken away, you hang in the pocket there, you look downfield, you see a guy like Quez open on like a deep over and you hit that. Seems like a lot of their deep plays that they have had this year have been sort of that was the script for the play. I know Quez had a huge one. Was it week 2? When did he have a big one because the guy fell down? He had a big
Minnesota game, I think.
Maybe that was it. Yes, you're right. Yeah. You're right. The Minnesota game. It was a busted coverage, and he was wide open.
It counts.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Right now, it's really interesting that AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are tied for the team lead in catches. They both have 33. It's almost like we talked about, and Dallas Goedert having 26. We really said there's not going to be that much room for another guy to have that many catches, but Miles Sanders has 11. Zach Pascal has as many catches as Quez Watkins. Hard to believe. 6.
That's not good. Well, yeah. I mean, Pascal's a guy who's there to do dirty work.
Right.
Block in the run game, be a red zone guy if you need him to.
Yep.
Plus, he knows the offense. He's close to Sirianni, so you get teacher's pet or whatever we've called him. But I would say this though, one stat that I think is a little bit alarming, and I discovered it when I was going through the stats earlier this week, and this disappoints me.
Okay.
Gainwell had 50 targets last year.
Mm-hmm.
He is well on his way to not even come close to that. He averaged over three targets a game. That's got to change. He is explosive in the pass game. At least he was in college.
Yeah, he's got 8 targets so far.
That's not good. Yeah, and the thing is, they've had 2 games where Sanders, I think, had 3 catches.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. There's been no dominance in the pass game for the running backs. So I'm a little surprised by that.
I agree with you. We talked about this, and I think in the last show, I said, this is the year that Miles Sanders put everything together. He's even catching the ball fairly well. He's been targeted 13 times. He has 11 catches. That's, for Miles Sanders, that's really, really good, especially. So I'm wondering if they're going to try to, again, you're in the bye week, you're self-scouting, you don't want to be stale, you want to have some things that you haven't done before. That would be, getting Miles Sanders a little bit more into intermediate passing game, the wheel routes, trying to get him downfield past the linebacker occasionally would be a wrinkle that they haven't shown yet.
I got it. I can't really add much other than I 100% agree. I want to see as Joe Banner taught me many years ago when he was showing me a lot of historical studies. Mm-hmm. The true way to measure a play caller, Steichen's done a good job, is getting running backs on linebackers. He goes, the stats are just ridiculous. So if you look at over the years where teams that are really explosive at offense,
mm-hmm.
I don't care how fast the linebacker is. They're not generally as fluid as a running back. And Sanders, I know people complain about the hands. You can't complain anymore, folks. His hands and Jamal Singleton, I'll mention him again, mm-hmm. third straight show. The guy's done a phenomenal job of getting him. Just getting these guys to be better with ball security. And I know Steichen. Sirianni talked about Steichen using the punching. You've seen the punching of the boxing glove.
Yes.
On the stick. It's great. They try to punch it out of. I love watching that.
It does remind me of the Chip Kelly days. It's sort of like the fly swatter thing.
I knew you were going to say it, and I was going to say it. Yeah, you got me. Good job, because that's exactly where I was going. Oh, I hated the fly swatter. Hated it.
So did Michael Vick.
Yeah, because Vick's only 6 feet, and for folks if you've never seen it, giant nylon fly swatters were, I don't know how high, maybe they were put up 6 feet, 6.5 feet,
coming out of a guy's backpack. They would wear them on and strap on the backpacks, and these things that would look like. They would look like human flies. Like little
Greg
wings.
Gilmitros, one of the trainers, would wear them. It's pretty. I don't know why they use the trainer. Can't they have some interns doing it?
I don't know, but can you imagine what those guys felt like? Time to put on the fly wings.
Right. It was great. No, but they were just. I was like, all right, I can't. I couldn't even see. Like if you're in the end zone, if you're watching practice in the end zone, you couldn't see. Sometimes, but I get it why they're doing it. But overall, that's all that Flip said. He said, you just got to examine your tendencies.
Right.
And figure out some guys that maybe, because you have more time to see guys, when you go back, oh, wow, we called this play, it didn't work, but man, did he get open. Mm-hmm. Let's get him the ball. Like, by the way, remember Matt Collins barely played as a rookie?
Yes.
it was that Washington game with the shot play. I think he scored on a bomb. If I'm not mistaken, without looking it up. Like that's a guy, like finding a guy like that. Well, obviously, Quez Watkins would be that guy. But that's pretty much it.
The only thing I can think of, and this is sort of where we get nitpicky, because I've defended the whole. It's okay if you don't score all these points in the second half. If you're averaging 28 points a game,
that too.
Yeah. But I do think that they tend to be, score like these hot second quarters and then have a couple of 3-and-outs in a row. Not even like sometimes it's okay in the second half. You have a big lead if you get a 7-play drive, and for whatever reason you stall at the fifth. You know what I'm saying? Like they've had a couple of 4-and-outs and they get the ball in 4-and-outs. You'd like to at least have them make drives, but if they're not going to be productive, at least take some more time off the clock. But that's very nitpicky. I think otherwise they've been fine.
Yeah, just to keep the energy going. If you study teams that score a ton in the first half, Eagles have this at times with Andy Reid. They just emotionally. Maybe they get up so high because they're doing so well. It's hard to keep up. There's something, biorhythms, I don't know what you call it. They just don't, they're a little bit off in the energy. And to me, quite frankly, it'd be great if they scored on the first drive of the second half. You know how and this happened here with, it could be any of the offenses where your first couple drives, you're really flat. And then sometimes it just takes a spark from a score and then you start rolling. Whatever it is, they have to find it. It's not a major problem because they're doing so well in the first half. But I don't think it's nitpicking. It's a factor.
Yeah,
you have to mention
that's true.
No, you're right. It was on my list. Like they have to figure this. It's not a major problem, but they have to figure it out. And you're not like, let's say they pulled it, like they're rolling on the team the first half. There's just if they start rolling in the third quarter, you're not embarrassing the opponent. That's your job,
right?
Like I remember one game, Belichick. They asked, I can't remember. It might have been that Tennessee Titan. It was Chris Johnson was the running back, I think, for the Titans. It was maybe a Sunday game where it snowed. The Patriots rolled. I mean, they might have won. I don't know, 55-0 or something.
I remember that game. Yeah.
And Belichick was getting criticized. He goes, "I'm sorry, we were running our plays. We just apologize for that. Run your damn plays.
Yeah.
If they can't stop it, tough crap.
Yeah.
No, run your offense and bring some juice to the second half." And Sirianni said one thing. We'll get to the defense, but I didn't like. This bothered me. He might have said it on WIP with Angelo Cataldi. But he told Gannon to call off the dogs a little bit on defense because they were up. He basically intimated to play conservatively. Why?
Yeah, I was confused by that too.
Why would you do that? Like
it's almost like he was saying we want Dallas to have long drives to take time off the clock. My philosophy was if Dallas can do that, can put together a long drive on you, that's good because it helps you a little because it does take time off the clock. But if you have a chance to, choke them out or hit the quarterback or do something,
hello.
I don't know exactly what he meant by that, but
as my friend Herman Edwards would say, that's why you play the games. Let's go, man. Get after it. I don't know. I understand coaches like you. If this was last year's defense, absolutely play coverage, play back, don't blitz, don't do anything because he could cover me.
Right.
But no, you have the horses, man. No, with this secondary playing balls out like they are, they're unbelievable.
Yeah,
they're great. This is the best secondary they've had in years.
Gannon's the last guy I want to make him feel more comfortable playing relaxed. As he already does.
Dude, no, don't. In fact, you know what? Not that we would know this. I would love if Gannon said, "No, coach, no, we're not doing this."
Well, that's my point. Is that it doesn't seem like that's in his nature. So yeah,
I know he's a nice guy, but you know what? Jim Schwartz would I know we know for a fact that Peterson would get on about maybe being more aggressive.
Yeah.
Now Jim can do whatever he wants because he has the autonomy. But no, man, you got a chance to choke these guys out. Great point. I love that term, by the way.
Yeah.
In a legal way.
Yes, in a very legal, non-taunting way.
Yes.
By the way, awesome job by Dallas Goedert to sell the refs on that. I guess that's taunting now. Micah Parsons was getting excited. He made a play, and Goddard just goes with his thumb. See that?
Oh, did he point at the scoreboard?
No, he pointed at. He looked at the ref and he pointed at Micah, who is right next to him. He goes, "Hey, you see that?" Because you can tell by his eyebrows. Hey, are you gonna call that? And the ref's "Why, yes, I am." And
yeah.
Oh man, the Dallas play they were not mentally with it, man. Between that and the offsides by Fowler and and then Hendershot falling while he's trying to get set. What a I'm sure they
And
watched
by the
tape of that
way,
game and we're like, oh geez, did we shoot ourselves in the foot?
on that, okay, we'll get into the turnover thing. You know, the
Yeah.
Eagles are plus 12.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, it's only 6 games, and no team is perfect. The Eagles don't shoot themselves in the foot on offense.
They're very disciplined.
They're so disciplined. Hurts obviously is very careful with the football.
Remember, it didn't start off that way too. They really struggled the first week and then the first half of week 2 with the illegal man downfield.
Oh, the penalties, right?
I gotta give them credit. They cleaned that up like lickety split, man. They were really good with that.
Sirianni is, again, this is guy's a first-time head coach, who was on no one's radar. It is remarkable to me. And I don't know what he does, whether he yells at him or gets on his coach, whatever he does, it's working.
Mm-hmm.
I give him all the credit in the world, and they give the assistants credit. They obviously coach well, and the buy-in from the players. They have such respect for the coaches. It's one of the reasons why they're the NFL's best team right now is the buy-in. We don't talk about it enough.
Mm-hmm.
The buy-in from the players with how they're being taught, because they know. Look, it's kind of like Belichick. They know when they watch the tape, they're getting called out.
Right.
You know, sometimes some coaches have kid gloves. They're not afraid, but they won't really harp on the details as much as these guys do.
Mm-hmm.
And sure as hell is working.
No doubt about it. All right, we will move on to the next segment to talk about. Before that, remind our listeners what VPN stands for again.
Virtual Private Network. I know that because I got worried. A friend of mine who's in IT told me, he's like, dude, when you go to these coffee shops,
mm-hmm.
this is many years ago, man, you should get a private network. I'm like, okay, explain to me what that is.
Yes.
So this way they cannot spy on you. And he goes, it's very inexpensive. It's worth doing.
Right.
And he goes, the other problem is these hotels don't encrypt anything. He goes, they don't protect your privacy at all. And it's coffee shops don't. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. Except no, you're right. Oh shit is right. So you got to get yourself NordVPN just for what Adam's talking about. I think everybody could use it. Anybody who uses the internet, not in their house and even in their house. We talk about the importance of online privacy. So we're proud to be partners with NordVPN. As Adam mentioned, they essentially create an encrypted tunnel for your data. It helps you protect your identity and your information. It hides your IP address, which, is the big thing for giving that stuff away. It means you can go online from almost anywhere safely and securely, and you get that extra layer of protection. It's like a safety net for your data and your information. Third parties hardly can spy on you, and neither can your ISP. Your internet service provider, right? It helps you secure your online data, access blocked websites for a lot of people who travel to different countries or regions where American website might be blocked. It allows you to get in. So I mean, everybody can use this, whether you're a journalist, a gamer, a traveler, someone who likes to just go to the coffee house and surf on the internet, students who have to get away from their school Wi-Fi because everybody's on it and slow and they try to go somewhere else, business people. It helps everyone. So get your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/ITB to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan and 4 months for free. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. All right. You want to tackle special teams, right? Before we get into
I wanted to
defense?
mention that. Yeah. I wanted to, before we get to defense. Here, the positive, Jake Elliott's been really good, he could very well come back from his right ankle injury. That was a great sign. Not much to say on him. He's just, I guess it's Tyler Brown is coaching him. The special team, he's a specialist coach. He's done a great job of rebuilding him.
Mm-hmm.
Sipos is better than he was last year in certain ways. I just don't think he's just somewhere in the middle of a row kicker.
Yeah.
Punter, excuse me.
Yeah.
But it
I worry when the calendar turns, because last year it seemed like as soon as it got cold, his punts took a turn for the worse. So he's been fortunate. We've had nice October weather, a couple more weeks, maybe it'll be nice, but once we get closer to Thanksgiving, we'll have to really see.
Right. So that's something to keep an eye on, but he's been better than last year. So the kickers and punters, I mean, you're decent shape. I would say good shape. Not great shape, but good shape. It would be great shape if Sipos was better, but Elliott's really good. And getting Cameron Dicker, great move by the Eagles 2 weeks ago. Dicker, the kicker, was great filling in. Wow, it wouldn't surprise me if another team tried to sign him off their practice squad.
Didn't get the flea flicker I was looking for, the Dicker flicker.
Yeah. Return game. The undrafted free agent is, they had the 14-yard punt return last week.
Mm-hmm.
Covey, to me, here's the thing I know teams, I know a lot of them do not return anymore because of where they're kicking off from. I get that, but I like the kickoffs to be better. You're always striving for perfection.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? I got to check their workout list. I got to look into that, see if they worked at any returners.
The kickoffs have been okay. He's averaging what, 23 a return. So that's what I said. It's okay. It's not great.
I like the explosiveness. I like him. Look, he's not a bad player. He's actually sort of kind of what we were told he would be on as a punt returner. It's actually not bad at all. He's better than average.
Right.
But I don't know. I would look into the kick returns. I have not heard that they're doing that.
Well, what would be? I mean, he's averaging 6.5 a return. I don't think there's any. Is that good?
No, punt's good. I'm good with punt.
That's what I'm saying. 6.5 on a punt. Is that really that good?
Well, no, you'd like it in the 8 to 10 range, but he did have a 14-yarder. He started off really bad.
Yeah, so I was gonna say the 15-yarder is kind of up to what he's really averaging, which is probably less than 6.5. So.
They from what I hear, they think it's okay there. It's kickoff could be better, and then the coverage team, Sirianni could say all he wants about where they're ranked, but it seems like there's a gaffe on almost every game. The last one was embarrassing, but we're told it was on Kyron Johnson.
Right.
That's got to be better. I mean, the coverage teams, again, rankings are what, but it's here. The deal is you got to be you can't give up the explosives on returns. They could be backbreakers. They're very lucky they've been so good otherwise.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at the schedule to go back to my Sipos point. He gets a little bit lucky because there's 2 games in November that are at domes. They're going to play Houston on Thursday night, November 3rd. They're going to play the Colts in Indianapolis in a dome. November 14th, they'll play Washington. That'll be a night game, so it'll probably get a little frosty because it'll be at night when they play the Commanders. And then, of course, the Green Bay game, November 27th, will be at night. Well, it'll be here, but it's cold here in November 27th. So I mean,
40s, 30s.
Yeah, that's true. It might not be too bad. But then once you get to December, Adam, at Giants, where it's very windy, that stadium is always very swirling.
Oh yeah.
At Giants on the 11th, and then December 18th, the next week at Bears. All right.
Ooh. Oh, and it's windy. I've been to Soldier Field, man.
It's windy. It's cold. It might snow. I mean, it's
off
December
the lake
in Chicago. I mean, that's no easy conditions, even for a good punter, an excellent punter. So, that I'll kind of have my eyes out there, because really it's 3 or 4 weeks. November 27th versus Green Bay, because it's a night game here. It'll probably be cold, and then December 11th, December 18th at Giants, at Bears. That in close games, that makes a big difference. So he's got to
fair point. Yeah, fair point.
Listen, I could have been just an observation I'm wrong about. It just seemed that when the weather was cold, he did not punt well last year. So we'll see. Anything else on special teams? We did it.
Not really. I mean, it's that's just the basics, just observations of what we'd heard. So
right.
It's got to be. It could be better. I mean, that to me is the weakest part of the team right now because it's really hard to find a weakness. You can't say linebackers anymore. We're going to get to defense in a minute. You can't. You just cannot say linebackers a weakness.
No.
It said it's not only will they not embarrass Eagle fans, will be proud of them. Yes, you should be proud of your linebacker.
How about this? This is a fun game. What is their weakest position
on the football team?
Mm-hmm.
Good question. I would just say third outside corner. Still, I'm not going away from that. I've been for a year now.
I sort of meant what's their weakest starting, but okay.
But starting
just because it's such a good argument.
Punter.
You're right.
That counts. Well, it's not part of the starting 22. It's 25 kicker, punter, holder. Or long snapper.
It probably, if you're just evaluating all the major positions, it's probably safety. But safety's been good. It's not been bad. It's just there are times where C.J. Gardner-Johnson was struggling early on.
Well, he's new to it. Yeah,
right. I'm not certainly. Again, nitpicky. And then Marcus Epps has some nice games, and every once in a while you may miss a tackle here and there, but
he's been I'm told he's been really solid.
Yeah, really solid. I would agree. So, I mean, You know, when you're the weakest position and you're that good, that's why you know the team's undefeated right now. All right.
No weaknesses. I mean, it's amazing to me. We weren't doing a show in 17. Our first year was 18.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go back what the weaknesses were in 17. Oh, they had a lot of injuries. Their injury situation was brutal in 17, and somehow they overcame it.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, because they had to start backup offensive linemen. Sproles got hurt, so that hurt the returns.
Yep.
I'd have to go back, but this team, and you asked a great question because it really.
Well, I would say the cornerbacks on that team were. I mean, they weren't great. You know, you had Jalen Mills, and then you had on the again, Ronald Darby was out for 10 weeks. They went 9-1, amazingly, but they were rotating Patrick Robinson with Jalen Watkins with Rasul Douglas. So, but they made it work.
Amazing. Rasul, that's right. He played as a rookie.
Oh, yes, he did. He had 4 interceptions that year, if I'm not mistaken.
And he got worse after that. It's amazing
how
bad he was.
Check me on that, but I'm pretty sure he had 4 picks.
Well, if you remember how bad he was after that, and then how he revived his career like in a major way with Green Bay last year.
Right.
Incredible.
Right. I think he and Patrick Robinson both had 4 interceptions that year, if I'm not mistaken, to tie for the team lead. And if you give me one more second, I'm almost there to find it. But yeah, they made do for 10 weeks without Ronald Darby, who was supposed to be like, the big acquisition. Rodney McLeod had 3 picks that year. Okay, yeah. Patrick Robinson had 4. I'm sorry, Rasul Douglas had 2. So he had 2. Corey Graham had 2. Darby had 3. P. Rob had 4. Wow, what a save!
Patrick Robinson had 4.
He did mostly from the slot. Rodney McLeod had 3, and Jalen Mills had 3. That's a lot. They had a lot of interceptions that year, man.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Jenkins had 2.
Let's get the defense.
All right, before we do that, let's just tell everybody to make sure they're checking out PHLSportsNation.com, enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of all Philadelphia sports teams. For the fan, by the fan is their motto. So make sure you check them out at PHLSportsNation.com and on Twitter at PHLSportsNation. Let's also pause real quick for a word from our great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motor Cars. And if you stop in at Sky Motor Cars out there in Westchester, PA, make sure you tell them Adam and Geoff sent you. You will get a great deal, or you can visit them at skymotorcars.com. So you want to go to defense now? Let's finish.
Yeah. So I would say defensively, it's hard to criticize them because they've been so good. James Bradbury might be one of the best quarters in football. It's not just the stats which show like he's just not giving up anything. He is, and I understand he was not comfortable in the former scheme with the Giants. He didn't have a good year, but whatever happened, and obviously they're using him the right way here. Or it's working the way they're using him. If you just look at this scheme, because now Gannon has much better players. It's amazing how much more talent he's got to work with. It's hard to say, oh my gosh, this better be better or else kind of thing. They've got a good D-line rotation. The only thing that I would criticize, they're sort of a middle of the road on blitz percentage. I liked it when he went after Wentz in week number 2, was it?
Yes.
When he smelled blood, and they went after. Obviously, they knew. Well, he didn't know the player, but I'm sure some of the players like Graham and others knew what you can do to Carson Wentz to make him uncomfortable. And that to me, he's got to be better with smelling blood. When you see a guy struggling, come after him. Yeah. Now, if it's Kyler Murray, obviously you got to worry about his feet. But if you got a pocket passer who's struggling, get after him, man. Yeah. And that's something that
same thing with Kirk. He blitzed, but he was very selective at times. He did not,
called it right. You're right, because he called them right. And what was interesting is he did it in the red zone. He blitzed them, which you don't see a lot. He played zero coverage a little bit, and he came after it. Now you could thank Trevor Lawrence for the self-inflicted wounds. And then Cooper Rush, he did a good mixture of coverage and mixing post snap, and he got Cooper Rush had no idea. They did a great job with disguise. But you look at the schedule going forward here. Davis Mills is a guy doesn't have great mobility. In week 9, I'd like to see that. Wentz, well, it won't be Wentz. It probably will be Taylor Heineke, who they know. And then Matt Ryan, week 11. I'm coming after. Rodgers is a different story. Ryan Tannehill, I know he won't throw a lot. If they have their druthers, Tennessee, he won't be throwing like 20 times. They love hiding him. It's a guy that they don't want throwing a lot. They know that. And plus you've got Henry. But when the quarterback, when it's a guy that doesn't move great, get after him. That I like to see
more. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Jonathan does want to do that more with. I mean, let's see, they'll face not Mitch. They'll face probably Kenny Pickett coming out of the bye, right? And he's the guy's got a little bit of mobility there. And then
he's an athlete. No, he can run.
Yeah, very good athlete, right? So let's see, who's after? Is it Washington again? Is it going to be Heineke?
Yep. It'll be hospital ball Heineke. Yeah, hospital ball.
Yeah,
John
I think
Hanson calls him.
Yeah, hospital ball.
But now he's an athlete. You got to be careful with him.
Right. But didn't they come after him last year a little bit more than normal? I thought they did. Remember. I have to go back and look. Okay.
Yeah, but that's it. I mean, Daniel Jones can run. We know he can run well in a straight line, but you could disguise, and he gets stuck in the pocket when he doesn't like what he sees.
Right.
And with the Saints, Jameis Winston, if he's back starting, that's late in week 17. And Daniel Jones again. So look,
I forgot about the Texans in between. So they'll have Davis Mills.
I mentioned him already.
Yeah. You did. Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be afraid if I were Jonathan to
I just like to see more aggressiveness. He's look. Gannon's done a good job. We crushed him last year because it was warranted. It was facts.
Yeah.
He's got better players now. There's no excuse. He's done a very good job. He's been solid, but you could be more aggressive. You could be selectively more aggressive.
There you go. You surprised? I don't know if I want to phrase it surprised, but one guy who just because he's in a rotation, I don't think he's gotten to settle in and make as much of an impact. And I'm not saying he's playing badly at all. I'm just suggesting like you don't hear his name, and I think the rotation he only gets limited number of reps. Is Milton Williams in year 2? I mean, he just doesn't play a whole lot. He's like the backup line with Tui Pelotu.
Well, it's because of Jordan Davis, who, by the way, is really improved technique. Milton Williams is fine in his role. I've heard that he's been fine with technique and he's been solid. It's just Jordan Davis now, and you mentioned Tui Pelotu. They have more players. So the rotation's really good at D tackle. Now, listen to Paul Gunther. For those of you who are Patreon subscribers, listen to his interview when our talk with him, when he talks about technique, and we talked a lot about just how you play at this level. Because when I had dinner with Mike Zimmer many years ago and Paul at the combine, and Zim talked about how you do not get on the field, even if you're a first round pick, if you don't get our technique right. And Mike Dunn doesn't care. I won't use foul language here, but he doesn't give an F. And he said, I will sit guys down if they don't get it right. And I'm not talking about Milton Williams. He's just talking about, because the Eagles play a very specific scheme. It's different from most NFL schemes. There's a certain way that D linemen have to play. So I mentioned this, I think, on one of our recent shows. So and Gunther talked about how guys, you have a certain way that you play in this Jonathan Gannon /Fangio scheme. If you don't get it right, because it's hard. If you're Fletcher Cox, if you played in a wide 9 a lot of your career, or you've been asked, you played a certain way, and you're not doing it anymore, it's hard mentally, man. It's hard if you've won your whole career because you're a stud getting upfield, and you're not being asked to do that anymore. He talks about Gunther talks about the read and react stuff. This is by the way, this is a combo. We're told a combo read and react, and at times get upfield. That's not easy if you've been played a certain way your whole career, and that's why you're not seeing Cox with the major sack numbers or pressure numbers.
That is right. That's true. And you kind of, as we get closer to the middle of the season than the end, you wonder what will become of Fletcher Cox after this year. He's playing. It's not that he's playing poorly. It's just that it's sort of inconsistent. Like sometimes he's really wows you with what he puts on tape, and then there are times where he doesn't look like a Pro Bowl defensive tackle.
Right, with Hargrave too. It's another thing. Like he's an upfield guy, squatty, get upfield type of guy.
Yep.
And they're not being asked to do the same things that they're used to be. This is a very specific scheme, and I think you have to be more realistic, and he's now running the full scheme of what he wants. He's not really compromising Gannon like he did last year, because to make, he and Fletcher Cox, everyone knows Fletcher's very vocal about it. We all know what happened. It wasn't working for him,
right?
And Gannon kind of had to compromise to make him happy. And by the way, they played a lot more wide nine in the second half last year. That's when Sweat took off. Sweat, by the way, has been fine. I know people are wondering where the pressure numbers. He's been fine.
Yeah, no, he's played well. He's played well.
Yeah, and BG and other guys played really. I know it doesn't show in sacks.
Yeah,
but his pressure numbers, his win rate is good. He looks phenomenal. This guy is amazing.
Yeah, I remember saying a couple of weeks ago that Sweat, he's not like Brandon Graham in size or frame, but production-wise, he's similar in that he's good against the run. He's good at collapsing the pocket. He may not get 12 to 15 sacks like Brandon Graham never did either, but he's always there creating pressure, and he's good against the run. He's been a good defensive end. You can win.
Yeah,
with.
Yeah. Look, they're you could call it a 5-1, 5-2, 34, two overhangs, whatever you want to call it. They have the scheme down, but it's just the reason why they're inconsistent with the run is because some guys are getting they're even when they're not getting moved. There was a game. What game was it? They got moved off the football really badly. What was
the Lions game was really bad.
Okay, that was okay because I know from our sources it was bad. It was not good. And then remember when I said I think if Fletch sees the tape, he's going to be embarrassed by some stuff, and he clearly was because remember the Washington game where they got after it, like they crushed that bat off. Maybe they knew they could do it, and they sure as hell did.
Right.
So they just have to be more consistent in getting what Gannon and Tracy Rocker, what they're being asked to do.
Right. I would agree. Linebackers are, everybody wants to figure out when Nakobe Dean's going to get on the field, but
good luck.
The question we have is why? Why would you put? He's doing well. There's two linebackers on the field, two coverage linebackers, T.J. Edwards and Kazir White, and they're doing the job they're supposed to do.
And I'll tell you what, they're outstanding with the run when they're getting cleaned off. When the front does its job, funnel the run like they're supposed to, and play their keys and everything that they're being taught. White's been phenomenal. I mean, I don't know what else you could ask for. There's not much else to say. We said it on every show with this guy just about. He's been a stud. I don't know that he'll be a Pro Bowler because unless you're Eagles fans, if they follow him like all you watch him do, he's been a stud. But the people who vote, fans across the country and other teams, you really have to study this team to know how much of a stud he's been. But I don't know what else to say. The linebackers have been terrific.
Yeah, they've been really good. Yeah, usually to make the Pro Bowl, you got to be for linebackers. You usually have to have that name, right? And then B, you usually have to have a couple of picks or a couple of forced fumbles. With that, those are numbers. I mean, yes, those are good things, but it doesn't always mean if you don't have those, it doesn't mean you're not playing well. And he's doing the job being asked of him. So.
And that's the thing that a former Eagles player told me when he stopped voting. He would give it to the PR staff. He said, "Man, I'm just so sick and tired of guys who shouldn't be in there getting a name because of name recognition." He goes, "Who are he got really mad. He's like pretty passionate. He's like, "Who the hell is voting?" He goes, "Like some of these guys, the fans have never seen before. Like they don't watch." And he goes, "I'm not going to vote for it anymore." He's like, "I don't care. He tell the PR staff, just go vote for him. I don't give a crap about it." Wow, okay. Because stop being a popularity contest. It's like this, obviously, in MLB.
Yeah.
Can't have that.
Anything from the back end that you think needs to improve? I know from just talking with Jason Avant and listening to Q&A that they feel like CJ Gardner-Johnson, even with the 2 interceptions the other night, playing well, they could tell he was still learning where to be at the right time in the defense. They felt against the run. He hasn't known, which is sort of normal on nickel now playing safety. Neither position is really known for being great run style, although nickels have to really play the run because they have run fits as being an interior defender. But the point that they're trying to make is he has done well from a playmaking standpoint, but they wanted to just see him start to really understand the defense a little bit more.
I agree. There are times he's not quite sure where he's just it's either a false step or he's late. It's because I don't know how else to put this. He's learning the defense, not in the offseason, not in the preseason, not in training camp. He's learning it in season. That is really hard to do.
Yep.
And he is getting better. a lot, to be honest with you, a lot of what will go into extending his contract if they do bring him back next year, it's not a lot that he comes back. It's just a matter of how well he plays. It's going to be how he gets the defense. We know they're going to be a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
Can't be a liability. He's not a liability now, but he's not a plus yet because he's a pretty sharp guy.
Right.
He's very athletic. He play corner safety. And I know Cosell loved him with New Orleans, the way they used him.
Mm-hmm.
Not being used the same way because he's obviously playing more safety now.
All right.
But once he gets it, they're going to be just a better defense. As good as they've been, they certainly could take it to the next level.
Yeah, I would love to know. I'll probably try to find this out a little more because they traded for him knowing he was going to play that position, knowing that he had never played that position before. So, or at least
played safety in college.
He played safety in college, right? So, but not with in the NFL. So I wonder if they leaned heavier on the input from college personnel or from pro personnel who felt that they saw enough skill sets. It's sort of interesting. I don't know. I don't know. I'd like to, wonder who banged the table and said this would work, but it became a very good idea. They probably just said, listen, it beats the alternative, right?
Right. No, but understand,
learning, it's better than what we have.
But but actually he's getting there.
No, that's my point, is that they've assumed that he would while they took the lumps of him learning it, it's better than throwing somebody out there who can't get the job done.
Sure. Well, look, he's super talented and he's a hard worker, and it means a lot to him. Everyone knows how vocal he is. He's
right.
As we were told, he would drive some of his Saints teammates crazy because he just doesn't shut up. But hey, who cares? He's a funny dude.
He's talked about that though. He said, I know, the coaches told me here that it's not about me, it's about the team, and he's bought into that. That's good stuff right there.
And by the way, the buy-in to this team is another point. The buy-in to these coaches, I might have said it earlier. I'm sure I said it earlier. But both sides of the football, though.
Right.
It's they've got a good thing going here, and what John T. Filippo told us on our Chalk Talk. He said that the togetherness of the coaching staff
and
the players, because he had told me on staff that he wasn't specific. He told me off the air. Coaches sometimes are jealous. They're pointing fingers behind the scenes because there's none of that belief on that staff in 17. And he thought because Doug was such a good dude, and because Doug gave them, the coaches, a lot of responsibility. They asked for it sometimes, and he gave it to them. And he just said that Doug was so good about when the coaches would go to him, hey, could you mind if we do this? Hey, you know what? You seem to have a good hold on that. Keep doing it. That kind of thing.
Good stuff. All right. We just went through the whole team there. That was a good scouting report, self-scout on the Philadelphia Eagles, the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles, as they head into their bye weekend. Our schedule doesn't change. We'll still have a pod out next Monday, Wednesday, and of course Friday, and everything will stay the same. So thanks to everybody for listening and hanging with us here throughout the bye week. That's going to do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles intel. Big thanks as always to our producer, Tyler Strasser. And we thank you, as always, for flying with us inside the bird.